Hello, everyone. My name is Stephen Smith from Direct Travel and Vision Travel, and I want to welcome you today. I am going to wait about a minute before we get started because I just want to give everybody a chance to log on. So bear with us. As you can see, we are live on remote, and we will get started in just a minute. I'd like to think that is actually live in the background of my picture, but I'm sorry it's not. I wish it was. Okay, so let's get started. I see our number of participants continues to climb. I will just get started and we will be live on remote shortly. So I have to say that I am absolutely thrilled to be here today hosting our virtual private safari. Almost as thrilled as if I was actually at Shamwari, and I certainly will be one day soon, and I hope to see each of you there. But for today, it's going to be virtual. Now, in order to accommodate the sunset in South Africa, we did have to move our Dream Away event up half an hour. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to join us. And I do have a couple of housekeeping items I want to go over before we kickstart things. So because we are remote and we need to have many rangers and guides accompanying us, we have quite a few panelists today. Most of us are going to turn our cameras off so you can see what you joined us today to see. And I suggest that you as the audience adjust your view to hide any panelists not on video. You may have done this already in the past on Zoom, but you can go to Gallery View and click on the three dots in the upper right corner of a participant, and you choose Hide Non-Video Participants to hide all the panelists who have their video off. And that way you're only going to see the individuals who are streaming live from their cameras. So that's the first item. The second one is that if you have any questions, please enter them in the Q&A module in Zoom, and we will answer as many as we possibly can at the end of our safari. Now, there is also a chat feature. Feel free to chat in there. We've got quite a few panelists who will engage in chat with you today, but I ask that you put the questions in the Q&A so we can consolidate them there and get as many of them answered as we possibly can. So for those of you on the West Coast, it's early. Make sure you top up your coffee and tea. For those of you on the East Coast or in between, hopefully you've had your coffee and you're ready to join our virtual private safari live on remote from Shamwari Game Reserve. So without further ado, I am going to hand this off to Kevin Coey from African Travel, our partner that has made all of this possible so that he can get things started. Kevin, over to you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Stephen, and a very good morning, good afternoon, good evening to those that are in South Africa. It is absolutely wonderful, and we are very proud and privileged to be with you all today. As Stephen mentioned, we are partners with Direct and Vision Travel, and it is a very proud partnership that we have, because at African Travel, we do focus exclusively on Africa. We love being able to bring Africa to life, and that's what we're going to do today. Lisa, I was absolutely delighted to see that you have your Amarula with you already. Good for you. You are well prepared this morning. So that's great, and it'll just make the safari experience that much better. So as Stephen said, you're certainly not here to listen or to see myself or him. what's happening in Shamwari right now live is what we're all here for. So given that, I'm going to pass it over to Andrew Kearney. And Andrew is live in Shamwari. He's the head ranger for Shamwari. This is an amazing private reserve. It's removed from the Kruger area of South Africa, which I think makes it even that more special. It's very, very exclusive. They have a wonderful selection of lodges. And we're going to take a little closer look at Shamwari, the infrastructure later on. But without further ado, let's run over to Stephen and to Andrew. And Andrew, what do you have for us?
Good afternoon, Kevin. Good afternoon, everyone. If any of you don't know where Shamwari is, just go onto Google Maps and type in Paradise, and this is where it'll come up and show you. I'm in the most amazing setting. Have a look at that. I'm going to give you a 360 view of where I am. I'm standing quite high off of the ground on an observation post that ecologists can use. They're doing field studies and views, but I have the most unbelievable 360-degree view of just absolute paradise. Just down the valley over there, I had a herd of elephants. I'm busy listening to them, busy breaking branches as they feed, but we'll talk about that shortly. Yeah, you're right. Shamwari is quite a distance from Kruger National Park. Obviously, the Kruger area of South Africa is very well known. If you don't know where Shamwari is on a map, you can take South Africa, look at South Africa, and draw a line. Pretty much cut it in half. We're just on the right-hand side of that line, on the coast of the southern coast of South Africa.
Andrew?
Yes.
Andrew,
Jason.
sorry, if I can just quickly jump in there. I'm about to lose my sighting, but it's really cool right now. Let me just flip over my screen. Right in front of me, I've got quite a lot of lions, and I've had to drive up the mountain today just to get them. But, you know, what's the point of having these vehicles if we can't go off-roading like this? But I'm losing some of them, and they are just started contact calling. So I've been sitting with them for quite a while today, and these are all sub-adults right now, and their parents, is two females. They left a bit early in the day, looking very, very intent at hunting, and I just wanted to quickly, sorry, take the camera away from you just before I lose them, but they are very, very close to me. I mean, look at this one right here, right in front of my bull bar there. So quite an incredible sighting we've got at the moment. And they, I'm just trying to concentrate to get them on there. There's one that definitely looks like a scene from The Lion King there on Pride Rock. I'll zoom a bit more so my aerial's not in the way. And with the structuring of this group, basically it'll be your two females, both of them had 4 offspring. They've grown up together. There is the dominant male, but this male isn't with them all the time. He's with them about 40% of his time. The rest of the time, he's off marking territories, etc. Because females and the youngsters were situated within the male's territory itself. Look how carefully this one is walking onto. Just have a look there. You can still see there's some spots in this one, which stays in the youngsters for a while, and then normally at about just over 3 years old, it will start disappearing, and you don't see it in the full adults whatsoever. Here's another young male. He's just starting to grow a bit of his mane. You can see there on his neck, above his head, he's starting to grow his little mohawk, and on the neck below the chin as well, starting to grow a bit longer hair. But this is literally the last one right now, about to pop over. What I'll do is, once it's disappeared, Andrew, I'll go back over to you. I'll try and relocate on them, hopefully good signal, and then yeah, we'll talk again. All right, Andrew.
Awesome stuff, Jason. Thank you. What an amazing sighting. That's fantastic. And especially, as you can see now, folks, I'm just going to show you a little bit. The sun is starting to set, and we know that lions are opportunistic hunters. They are crepuscular. They're active late evening, early mornings. That's where they have their prime success at hunting. So we have seen some amazing things on these live game drives. So fingers crossed, Jason, you might find them again, doing a little bit of afternoon hunting, early evening hunting. But yes, so just very quickly back to Shamwari and where we are. We're on the central southern coast of South Africa. We're a 25,000 hectare game reserve. It is one of the largest private game reserves. It's a beautiful, amazing piece of South Africa. We are phenomenally diverse here, and I think that's one of the most amazing, spectacular things about Shamwari is the diversity. One of the reasons, as I was saying shortly, is just over the horizon over there, only about another 20 kilometers, is one of the largest half-hard bays, coastline bays in South Africa. So we not only get a influence from the sea in terms of weather, but we also have our summertime influences coming from the heat and the height of the central plateau of South Africa. So a massive amount of diversity. And not only the weather causes diversity, but so the altitude as well. In the southern part of the reserve over there, we're quite low, only about 300 meters above sea level. And in the north of the reserve, we go well over 600, close on 700 meters above sea level. So a lot of difference in topography as well. And as I'm talking to you now, I'm going to try and get a little bit closer just now when I hand over to one of the other guys, but I've got a herd of elephants that have started moving up on the opposing bank over there. I can see there's one individual there, and there's a group that are moving up the valley towards me now. I hope the light holds that we'll be able to see them nicely, but absolutely amazing. I really, really am standing in the most amazing place. We're malaria free. That's a very big thing. We're on the edge of the wine route and the garden route, which is hugely important for the most amazing, all-encompassing holiday. And most importantly, we are big five, free roaming. All the animals out here, we observe. We take people out, unfortunately not at the moment, because as we find ourselves in the world of COVID, we have some challenges with travel and that. I'm just going to show you my game drive vehicle. I'm going to flip my camera around. If I flip my vehicle around, that is our open safari vehicle. Has a wonderful canopy roof so that there's a bit of shade in the midday heat if we're out in the bush, but open sides, and we really get you up and close and personal with the wildlife and the game. I'm just trying to see if I can focus on one of those elephants moving up the valley towards me. But yeah, our job is to get out there and observe and find these animals and view them and just watch what they're doing and interpret nature and just give the most incredible experiences. So that's just a very quick little bit about Shamwari. I will talk a little bit more, but what I want to do is hand over to Raymond before we start losing too much light. So Ray, if you're there, over to you.
Thanks so much, Andrew, and good afternoon, everybody. So after a few hours of checking and searching, I finally found something very, very awesome to show you guys. And there we go. It's our African buffalo. So when I was waiting with them earlier, they were all busy sitting down in the shade, ruminating, taking a break. But now that the day is almost over, they've started to get mobile and they've started to feed, which is great news for us. So you can get nice lights on them. Just going to reverse a little bit more for you guys, just so we can try and get them a tiny bit closer. As you can see, very calm with the vehicles. They know we no harm to them, and we know they no harm to us as long as we respect them. So everyone, with your African buffalo, they are not cows. They are your buffalo for a reason. They are highly, highly aggressive animals. You can see they all have these helmets on the top of their head. Males and females have the helmet, and what we refer to those helmets is our bosses. So if you look at the boss carefully, there's no hair on top of this individual. That makes it a male, and then to the right here, there's a female just in the shade, sorry about the light, and she's full of hair on the boss. So these individuals, as I said, they are ruminants, they regurgitate, they cut like the cow. And now that it's been winter at the moment in South Africa, they really have to travel far and wide on the reserves to get suitable grazing area. Ooh, a little bit of action from the bull there. Not sure what just happened. Probably picked up a scent of something in the wind, but a lovely bull standing there. Eyes open behind me, but can't see much yet. I'll keep my eyes peeled. So what they do is in the winter times, they'll follow, or throughout the whole year, actually, they follow an individual we call the pathfinder. and that individual will show them where the best grazing value is and where to, of course, get some water. It can be a male or female, the pathfinder, and it will generally change throughout the years. A really old male we're looking at here, but still in fine condition. He's been in mud walling a tiny bit. You can see dry patches of mud over him. And these individuals will live for approximately 24 years in the wild, have a gestation period of about 11 and a half months, generally give birth to one calf in midsummer. Probably one of the most underrated animals in terms of danger. A lot of people, as I mentioned to you, believe they're cows, but they're very aggressive. Us field guides, especially when we're walking, we actually have to keep our eyes open for a certain individual or individuals we call dugger boys or dugger bulls. Now, these are the individuals who cannot keep up with the leader. So I mentioned the leader is the pathfinder, and these are male buffalo. So what happens is they fall behind the herd and they don't have the comfort of the herd. So they feel very unsafe and very insecure. So they'll spend majority of their time around riverbeds where they can get water very easily. And generally what happens is without any warning, they'll come charging for us. It's quite a scary scene, but that's why we're always very, very careful on foot with where we walk and make sure we're safe areas. So you can see there's lots of bushes around me. So what these individuals are doing, they're actually getting the grass underneath the bushes that's left here in wintertime. They have a running speed of approximately 40 kilometers an hour. Huge male, as you can see. Very muscular animal. And you can see he's already behind the herd, so he's probably getting to the stage where he's going to struggle to keep up with the herd. I'm going to roll a bit forward for you. Maybe we can get in front to the pathfinder. And there you go. Most likely the one leading the pack there is the pathfinder, and at the moment it is a male. But they breed very successfully on Shamwari, and also lions, of course. You always watch nature programs on Discovery. Lions love to eat buffalo, and buffalo love to fight lions. So if there was a lion in the area, you could see how the individuals picked up their noses earlier from the smell, but now they're back to grazing. So very unlikely it was a predator. But if it was a predator, for example, if there were lion cubs in the area and they smelled the lion cubs, their scent, they'll actually, as a herd, go and find where are these lions. They don't back off or run away from youngsters. They'll find these lions and they'll actually stampede cubs. It's very sad to see, but it's just a way of protecting themselves in the future. You can see they're highly mobile, eating and ruminating. Nice facial shot there. Very, very beautiful animals. Just going to roll a bit more forward for you. Try to keep the lights on the top individuals in the front here. So a little bit of history about that buffalo. They were almost extinct in Africa due to, sorry, just one coming really close to me. Just want to go a little bit forward. Oh, lovely, look there. Due to a virus that came through many years ago, around the 1890s, but due to successful conservation efforts, they've been brought back dramatically well. And there are numerous amounts of large herds you can see. At Shamwari, we have numerous herds. This herd's probably about 30 individuals, and we have a few more herds ranging up to 30, 40 individuals. In other places, I'm sure Kenya, Maasai, you can see huge herds of them. So they've really come back from where they were almost extinct. Is a nice view of all the muscles. Sure.
Ray, I wonder if I can just interrupt you quickly. I've shot across to the other side of the valley, and I've got a couple of these elephants that are coming out. You can see as they're coming out of the bush. I don't know what my comms are like, if you can hear me. I'm sitting on a edge of a valley, so hopefully my signal is good. But you can see here's a beautiful little breeding herd of elephants coming out of the bushes now in the late afternoon sun. Have a look at that. Beautiful young elephant over there.
And your signal is great, Andrew. Great images too. Thank you.
Fantastic. Look at that sunset in the background over there. I think like a lot of other animals, they're going to be moving to feeding grounds or some form of slightly sheltered feeding grounds for the evening. You can see that elephant busy feeding off of the tree as they're going. So yes, quite vigorous bulk feeders. They do a lot of what some people would term destructive feeding, but it is a very important way of feeding in that they obviously feed off of grass and trees. But you know, when an animal weighs 6 tons, it's able to push over a tree quite easily, which may seem quite destructive. But the benefits of that tree getting pushed over is that soil gets uprooted, new seeds get planted, and light gets allowed in for other younger species to be generated. And once that tree is pushed over, there's now a food source that becomes accessible to other animals. And you see that elephant's feeding off of the tree over there. It'll pull down that branch, and potentially an animal that wouldn't be able to reach that is now able to be able to get to a food source. So again, a very, very important keystone species, and they shape the bush. This is one of the ecological benefits of elephants, is they literally shape the bush as they live in an environment. Another young bull. So these are 2 young males, what we would call teenagers. They're probably in the region of about 15 to 17 years of age. And they've been pushed out of the herd quite far. Where I was on that opposite side of the valley out over there, on that hillside over there. And on that side of the valley over there, there's a little white speck over there. That's another elephant. That's part of the main group of elephant herd. So these young boys have been pushed out of the herd, and they live by themselves. They think they are, you know, the main guys, but they want to stay kind of close to the moms and aunts and sisters, so that if there's trouble, they can run back and join up quickly. But they'll do this for a couple of years, trailing the herd at a distance, and as they get older, they'll fall further and further away from the herd until eventually they'll only come back to the herd for mating once they are dominant themselves and in a condition that we call must. Which is a very, very heightened state of testosterone and ready to mate. And you can see that that young guy following his friend. So these young bulls will form quite strong bonds and friendships. There's a question there about the tusks are already large for juvenile. Yes. So elephant tusks grow about 3 millimeters per week, which seems, if you think about it, it seems quite a lot. Elephants use their tusks a lot. So as much as they're growing 3 millimeters per week, they also wear down slightly. As much as they wear down slightly, they don't wear down slightly together, because an elephant has a preference for either its left or its right tusk, and it'll use one more than the other, exactly the same as we left-handed or right-handed, and so wear down one of the tusks a little bit faster. In certain areas of the country, elephants' tusks are bigger than others. Some are non-existent, and it has to do with 2 main factors. Number one is genetics. Obviously, the genetics play a vital role in size of tusks, horns, body, all of that type of stuff. As we would know from domestic breeding of animals, exactly the same with wildlife. That's why the strongest, biggest males get to mate, and so for you know, the purpose of passing on the strongest possible genes. And in other areas of the country where there's deficiencies in minerals in the soil, so the tusks won't be able to grow as big. So some individuals we find have, you know, obviously quite strong genes, and they have quite large tusks. Other individuals can be slightly smaller. But yeah, so that's these guys, and there on the other side of the valley over there, you can see a couple of white specks. That's the rest of the herd, the matriarchal herd, all of the mothers and sisters and aunts and daughters that all have their herd in a very structured matriarchal herd, and they are so diligent with running the family and looking after the family and family values and discipline. It really, I mean, watching elephants is such a privilege. And then obviously these young bulls and slightly bigger bulls on the periphery of the herds. So, I mean, what an amazing animal to spend time with. They're always doing something. and always doing something interesting. So my two guys have moved off. I'm going to hand over to, let's jump over to Jan, and I'll see if I can reposition myself a little bit just now. Jan, over to you.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening. We are live. It's Ranger Jan here, and I hope you guys are going to have a lovely time with us this afternoon. Great sighting of the elephants that Andrew found, and Jason and Raymond. You know, we're all scattered out here across the reserve, and we're actually not too far from one another. On the left-hand side, I've got Andrew right in front of me. I've got Ray, but just on various parts on the reserve. And then on my right-hand side, I've got Jason on the other side. And I think of Jason's lions that was on the move. I heard at the back of my vehicle, where I'm positioned at the moment, I heard a lot of alarm calling of kurus in the background. So it might be that there is those lions still on the move, maybe moving down into the river line. But I'm going to switch around my camera for you folks back home, and we've got, it's a rare sighting, and I hope everyone can see it. And good afternoon to Kevin and Stephen for you guys. Nice seeing you guys again, Kevin. I hope you're well. And Lisa, with that amarula and coffee, I would give my right arm now for a coffee with the amarula. And it was quite a nippy morning with a bit of a breeze on the reserve. And as you folks can look now, there's not a drop of wind. It is a phenomenal, phenomenal afternoon. But I'm going to try to get a little bit closer. There's 8 white rhinos together. Folks, it's a very, very rare sighting. You know, white rhinos is known for being quite sociable creatures. You know, they can be in groups, anything from 2 to 3 to 4, maybe 5. But to seeing 8 individuals together, it's phenomenal. It's literally a rare sighting. And if you can see right at the back of those rhinos, as I'm moving closer, Sandile Lodge. There's our newly built luxury tented lodge right up there. So the rooms and the lodge and the main area has got phenomenal views over this big open plain, looking at these rhinos. And if I move my camera to the left a little bit, there's so many plains game that I'm currently looking at. There's zebras out in the plains, there's waterbuck, there's kurus on the embankment where a little bit of light is still shining. And it's quite strange how all the animals have slowly but surely moved out of the thickets, out of the dense area, back into the open area. And it's quite a common thing that you'll notice a lot of your general game will, the minute it starts getting darker, and it's a safety strategy where they'll rather go and sleep and rest and feed in the middle of the night in open areas. It just gives them that little bit of an extra edge of protection against predators. You know, they can very easily hear or smell, or possibly, depending on if it's good light at night, to see if a predator is actually getting closer to them. But where we're positioned now, you can see there's a little bit of a slight dip of where we're sitting now. So if you look at the terrain itself, you know, it looks like if it had to rain, a lot of water will be grouped and concentrated towards where those rhinos are feeding at the moment. You can see your grass that's growing there is much more lusher and greener than on the rest of the plains. And it's not surprising that these guys are just on that area trying to get as much nutrients possible out of that small little patch. And it's a massive animal. You know, that rhino needs to constantly feed to maintain that big body. So I'm going to just start the vehicle, folks, and I'm just going to drive a little bit closer. It's amazing to see that we're live on Facebook as well, and I hope there's a lot of fans and families back home watching and just enjoying this beautiful, beautiful afternoon we have here on the reserve. So I'm just going to start to move a bit forward. And you'll notice that these animals are quite habituated to the vehicles. And it's not just our bigger game, it's our general game as well. You know, they have absolutely no reason to feel threatened at all with us getting closer. Obviously, I'm not going to drive straight up to them. I'm going to give them the necessary space itself. In case a lot of your folks back home was wondering, yes, we do off-roading if the area allows us to off-road. You know, we are a conservationist area. We're conserving a vanishing way of life. So we're not going to go and trash trees and drive over big boulders just to get to that animal, to get the wow sighting. You know, if the area allows us, by all means, we can get closer. So This is not zoomed in. It's nothing. It's there. You can see the beautiful sight of the lodge just sticking out there, folks. And look at this rhinos here, all white rhinos. Here on Shamwari, we're very fortunate and very proud to host both species, black and white rhino, here on the reserve. Straight off the bat, if you're looking at a rhino, there's not really much of a color difference between your black and your white rhino. Both species are a bit of a grayish tone color, and the reason, there's a bit of different reasons, but I'll get to it now. But I want to tell you folks back, the minute you're looking at an animal and you're seeing an animal feeding with its head flat down, long head, gives you straight answer of a white rhino. Long, flat mouth, long, wide, elongated, long head. Perfect for feeding down into the, oh, look at that. Here's one pushing around. I was earlier with these guys, I found them, and there was a lot of playfulness also, and a little bit of pushing around one another here, but there's a lot of mating behavior going on here with a couple of younger bulls to a specific female. I'm just trying to see where she is now, and it'll be awesome to see if it will happen, if the male will mate with her. It's quite a rare sighting. You know, I've been here 10 years on the reserve, and I've only seen. Andrew, you have something?
Jan,
oh, look
can you
at
hear
that. Oh, I can. Andrew, is that your sunset there?
So that is my sunset, but we're not finished with the sighting yet. I need to show you something in about a minute or two.
Go ahead for it, Drew. Absolutely.
All right. So I mentioned earlier that I happened to find myself in paradise, and people might not believe me. Although with what we've seen this afternoon, I don't know how you couldn't believe we're in paradise. But if you give me another 30 seconds, you'll see what my sighting is about to evolve into. And with a sunset like this, I don't think the afternoon could get any better. As I am driven onto this beautiful wide open plain, you can see the beautiful winter colors of grass, and you can see these beautiful colors of orange and gold and purple and blue. Have a look at that silhouette over there. I've got a beautiful animals, but 20 or 30 different animals here, all that have moved up from the low valley. They're crossing over, and they are, have a look at that, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I need to go a little bit more forward, just so that this, that sighting over there, what could be more perfect than a silhouette of giraffe at sunset? There is nothing better than that. Look at this big guy crossing the road in front of me. Beautiful big journey of giraffe. Guys, have a look at that. How spectacular. So this is a large herd of giraffe. It's not a breeding herd. It's just an aggregation, a group of males and females that have come together. Giraffe don't have social structures like elephants or lions or anything like that. They come together in numbers, and then they'll lessen their numbers again. It's two young males busy necking over here, but they don't have the very strict social structures that elephants do, for example. And you can see there's two young males busy necking over there. They're using their heads as sledgehammers. And if you have a look at their horns, they're quite thick and flat. But if we look at that individual in the middle of my screen, you'll see her horns almost come together and touch, and they're very long and narrow. So there's a difference between males and females. Look at these guys moving out in the last rays of sunshine here on Shamwari. How beautiful is that? So this is the southern giraffe. You would have heard other names like reticulated giraffe. I'm going to show you these guys moving around, and very empty on my game viewer due to our lockdowns that we are all hoping will end very, very soon. But yeah, these are the southern giraffe, and we have but man, look at that beautiful view. I'm just gonna take a moment and just watch that.
Andrew, Jason,
Over to
sorry,
you.
Andrew, if I can. This is becoming a habit now. But yeah, I actually saw where the lions went up. Instead of flipping my camera, I probably would have flipped my vehicle if I went up there, but I stopped at a spot later on, anticipated them coming down, and hey, as luck would have it, here they come. And it does look like the parents were the ones that called the youngsters, and that's why they just suddenly ran off, and now they're all together again. Very, very close to me. I am sitting a little bit more angled. You can see they are incredibly, incredibly relaxed with the vehicle. They know we're not threatening. They know we're not something to eat, just because we don't feed them, you know. So very often you'd find if you go to any form of lion park or safari park where animals like this do get fed, they associate people and food, and that's where the bad thing happens. That's why you can't drive around with open vehicles, etc. Whereas here, we don't do any of that. They're completely wild. They've never associated us with food because food generally runs away from them. And yeah, here we are. Excellent sightings like this. It does look like they're on the hunt. Lions are nocturnal. So, you know, the whole childhood memory of the lion sleeps tonight. It was just a nice song. They are way more active at nighttime. I'm just going to turn around my vehicle. But yeah, way more active at nighttime. And the reason for this, they've got a reflective layer in their eyes, as do a lot of your predatory mammal species that are active at night. Not only predatory, some of your other species as well. And they've got a layer called the tapedum lucidum membrane. So this will basically, any light that enters the eye at nighttime, moonlight, starlight, it will reflect and therefore help them see better. That's also why if you shine any harsh lights in a dog or a cat's eye, it will like half glow in the dark, and that's because of this same membrane that they have. But you can see incredible views. We've got a drop off to the one side, we've got the sunset to another, and the lions are just this one's having a bit of a bathroom break here. Lions are just walking down this stretch. Often you find that your predators will use vantage points so that they can see potential prey in the area, etc. So everything they do is for a reason at the end of the day. But as they walk away, I'm going to try zoom a bit more there. You can see behind the ears is very, very black, as well as the tip of the tail. That's how they follow one another, especially the cubs, for following their parents when they're very small. It's easy for something that short in tallish grass, especially grass that's just about the same color as the rest of your mom, to lose their parents. Therefore, they've got these follow me signs, as most of your animals do have. I see one has gone to lie down a bit ahead, so we might have a bit more of a stable sighting soon. But yeah, definitely one of the better lion sightings. This is an incredible time of day to be out, especially for predatory cats. That's why we schedule our game drives in these times as well, early mornings, late afternoons, so that your nocturnals are a bit more active. You know, lions can easily sleep up to 20 hours a day, and a lion that's just lying down there, not on the move, it's a nice sighting, but it's not this. This is incredible. You can see there's definitely a clear indication as to what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They're communicating. There's also non-verbal communication with lions. You know, that gets expressed in their tails and their ears. That's also how they hunt silently. So incredible. You'll find now that it'll mainly be the two adults that hunt, leave the rest of the sub-adults behind sometimes. The sub-adults, you know, growing up, when they're youngsters, they're all playing, they're all fighting one another. That's how they learn some skills to take down their prey later on. And eventually, females will, and it does sound a bit harsh, but I mean, this is nature. It can get very harsh sometimes. But the females will catch younger prey. So, you know, baby warthogs or baby somethings or sub-adult somethings. And then they won't quite kill them. They'll bring them over to the cubs and the sub-adults, and they teach them how to suffocate. Not very easy to watch. Normally suffocation could take up to 7 minutes if it's done by an adult, but yeah, it could take a bit longer, but when they're still learning. Not the easiest sighting, but I mean, we just always have to bear in mind this is nature. Definitely does look like they've spotted something up ahead there. All of them on a hillside. I hope everyone can see that there. They are looking down towards the sun in a westerly direction. I did see a lot of plains game when I drove down there earlier. So what I can do, maybe I can hop back over to Andrew with those giraffe. I'll wrap around to the open plains, and maybe we get lucky.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it. Yes, so there was a question about what is the best time to go on safari. And at Shamwari, I have to be honest and say that is year round. We don't have any peak time that's better than the next. Any time of the year, there's something fantastic happening in nature that is worthwhile seeing. So at the moment, a lot of your species, a lot of your general game, things like warthogs, impala, there's about a 6 month, 7 month gestation period in a lot of those animals, which would make it now is the breeding season, so that during our rainy season, the peak rainy season, when the most food is in abundance, that's when many of the youngsters will be born in November, December, January. So although that's a fantastic time to come out here and see youngsters being born, there's a lot of activity at the moment in wintertime with animals fighting for dominance, mating, and a lot of activity prepping for you know, the females to start carrying youngsters. So any time of the year is a fantastic season for game viewing. Like Jason was saying, we tailor make our game drive times and safari activities, whether it be guided walks, game drives, all of that type of stuff. We tailor make it around when the animals are moving. In winter time, there's a lot later start in the morning with the animals, and even activity throughout the day. Like Jason was saying today, he spent a number of hours with those lions. So the game drives will go out later in the morning once the animals start getting active and moving. And in summertime, when it's very hot, we go out much earlier in the morning. But we're able to provide fantastic sightings all year round because of the fact that we only have Shamwari Private Game Reserve guides operating on the reserve. We know the animals, we know their movement patterns. We are able to go into areas where you have to have our specific vehicle. We don't allow anyone to just drive on the reserve. And like Jason and Jan were saying, we do off-road if the environmental conditions allow for it. So we're able to provide some really, really good quality top sightings. So I hope that answers the question. I've got another minute or two before the sun sets, and I've got still a couple of these giraffe busy moving around me. This whole herd has crossed over this this wide open plain from one valley to the next, and about to begin their nighttime routines. And just very quickly, if this 40 minutes to an hour wasn't enough for you guys, we have a lot of social media content out there on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. Have a look at our Shamwari Private Game Reserve posts. We've got a lot of lockdown series of wildlife content. And, you know, if you guys want to spend more time watching what we do and how we do it, please jump on those sites and have a look at it. It does seem like Jan possibly wants to talk to you guys again, so I'll jump back to Jan.
Andrew, thank you very much. I'm just going to whisper, but these animals are so close to the vehicle. I've been sitting here dead quiet, just admiring your beautiful sunset there. You know, you guys, where yourself and Raymond and Jason are, you guys are having the best sundowners there now. I'm having a nightcap with these guys at the moment. And you can see the step of the vehicle, and they literally just brushing right past the vehicle. And there's no sign of aggression here whatsoever, folks. Everyone watching back at home, these animals so habituated to the vehicle, and they're just doing what a normal rhino would do on a daily basis. Head down into the grass. And I'm going to keep quiet for a second. I just want you guys to hear this fella here in front of us chomping away. Look at the long, flat, white lips. Look at that. Oh, it's incredible. This one is almost at the vehicle. What an incredible sight this was. Oh my goodness, this is lovely. And there's, it's not the best of sunlights, But there we go. There's my sunset there, guys. I'm having a wonderful time here as well. And there's another fella, right? Two fellas up front here. And I'm just going to move across to the other seat. And there they are busy. As you can see, yes, Lisa, they have a very, very strong sense of smell. That's one of their main senses, that and hearing, which is well acute. And you'll notice that the small eyes on the rhinos on their head, like the other predators that Jason was talking about earlier, and about their eyesight, predators, where the eyes are located, it's literally right in front of their heads, because for distance viewing and spotting, where if you look at the rhinos itself here, the eyes on the side of their head, they don't need to look that far to go and look for their food. Their food is right below their nose. Another thing I want to point out to you is that small hole sticking out there. It's one of our nocturnal species, spring hare, that lives underneath there. So I'm wondering what that spring hare is probably thinking now of these rhinos moving through this area, busy eating, probably feeling that movement. I just want to move across towards my other seat. It's actually incredible to think that I'm surrounded by rhinos and they are not worried at all. There's another youngster here. So you'll notice that if folks back home was wondering about the horns itself, though, we on the reserve believe that the rhino needs to keep its horn, and that's why you'll see that this youngster is probably about 10, maybe going to 11, 12 years old. You can see the first one growing a little bit more longer than the second one coming out, and it looks like it's beautifully shaped. This is the pride and joy of this animal. This rhino, males go day in and day out, especially the females, grooming that horn to get it to that lovely pointy long shape. It's actually a young male standing. Hello fella, look at him. And you'll notice that at the base of the horn, it's generally a little bit more thicker than where the females' horns are. And if you're not sure about males or females, it's either by looking at the horn structure or right between the legs as well. It's sometimes very difficult to determine the sex between the males and the females. A perfect example of white and black rhino. You can see white rhino right in front of us, straight back with a little bit of a hump there at the back, where you will have your black rhino will be a little bit more of a concave shape. Right, this fellow's getting super, super close now. And there's one on our left-hand side as well. Perfect. You'll notice as well the white rhinos have slightly a little bit of a more of a pointy ear, where your black rhino tends to have more of a rounder shape ear. It's another big fella right up there. Phenomenal sight. I do not know if you folks back home can actually hear them chomping away on this grass here. What an incredible sighting. Now this is a phenomenal afternoon, everyone. Jason, I hope you've got
jump on there quickly, Jan.
Awesome stuff, Andrew.
Last sliver of sun going down over the horizon over there. It's almost gone. It's almost gone. And ladies and gentlemen, that is sunset in Africa from Shamwari Private Game Reserve. Unfortunately, know we're going to run out of light quite soon. So just to say, it was an absolute pleasure, excuse me, hosting you guys this afternoon and showing you a little bit of our reserve and what we get to see on a daily basis. And please have a look at all of our information and our social media content to keep in contact with us and stay into what we're doing. And I really hope that you guys will come and visit us one of these days very soon. It is a magical place, a very special place. And I hope you all stay safe, and I hope to see you all soon. So from my side, I am going to be signing off shortly.
Andrew, thank you so much. You guys always do just such an incredible job, and the sightings you bring to us are just so unbelievable. This is truly life-changing. And as often as we are in Africa, it just never gets old. You can see it. We're so jealous of your lives and that this is what you do, that this is your office. It's absolutely amazing. So We truly,
Kevin,
truly
absolute
appreciate
pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
Do we know, is Theo with us yet?
Unfortunately, I think he's having some challenges with connecting on. So if there are any questions for Theo, I'm happy to answer for you.
Understood. No, that's fine. And actually, to be very honest with you, seeing the animals and whatever, I mean, as much as we love Theo, seeing the animals is just way more up there than Theo and his gin and tonic. We know he's enjoying that, and we hope that you guys all get back to lodge safely and enjoy your sundowners as well. So we thank you very, very much. This was just absolutely fantastic. And the rhino, everything was amazing, but those rhinos, even for us that are so familiar with it, was beyond special. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Your team does an incredible job every time. You guys are great. And that's why we love Shamwari. And that's why we love bringing Shamwari to Vision and Direct. It's so important because it really is a very unique part of Southern Africa and South Africa. So with that, I'm going to send it back to Stephen, and I think we're going to take a look at some of the questions. If everybody could stay on, because it'd be great, and everybody could answer some of the questions perhaps as they pertain to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Kevin. And thank you, Andrew, Raymond, Jan, Jason. That was just unbelievable. I feel like a kid in a candy shop, only better. That was just remarkable. And I had tingles going up my arms as I was seeing some of the games. So thank you so much for sharing that with all of us. We really appreciate it. As Kevin mentioned, we've got lots of questions, and I'd like to get to as many of them as we possibly can. I hate to take away from what we're seeing here, but obviously we've got the camera still rolling, and we will ask a few questions as we go along. So I am going to try to go back to the beginning just to start. So there have been quite a few questions about the recording of this. We are going to be sending out a recording to everybody who's registered, and really all of our clients to be able to enjoy this. So for any of you who are looking for a recording to share it with others, we will be sending it to you. You will have it in your inbox either later today or tomorrow that you can share with anybody to enjoy this amazing experience. So.
And Stephen, can I just jump in super quickly?
We're going to start at the beginning. What do these lions hunt?
So lions are definitely opportunistic animals, and that means they'll hunt whatever they can think they'll catch, whether it is a warthog, a zebra, an impala, or a kudu. Any of our general game, as well as some of the larger stuff. You know, there's definitely learned behavior with lions. In other words, maybe one or two incredibly successful lioness will teach the rest of the pride how to hunt giraffe. And then going forward, a pride of lions will specialize in hunting giraffe, for example. A lot of the time it comes down to what is accessible, what's in numbers, and what doesn't know that the lions are there. As far as how often lions hunt, it definitely depends on how many lions there are and what they caught last. In other words, a big pride of 10 lions will catch a warthog in the morning. That warthog that weighs 70, 80 pounds isn't going to be enough for a whole pride of 10 lions. They will hunt again that evening. If they catch a buffalo, for example, that weighs a ton, that meat will last that pride a good couple of days, that they won't have to hunt for almost a week. So very much dependent on the size of the animal that they can catch and how many lions there are in the pride that need to be fed. I hope that answers the question.
Absolutely, thank you. We have another question here. How old can rhinos live for?
Again, it depends on competition. Is it male? Is it female? Obviously, males face a lot more competition in life than females due to territory and fighting for dominance. So generally, your females tend to live a little bit longer than males. And then again, it depends on what part of the country they're in. Is it harsh conditions that they're living under? In other words, extreme environmental conditions, or are conditions quite good? In other words, good food all year round. A good healthy white rhino, you're looking at probably in the region of about 35 to 40 years if they're very lucky, and obviously in captivity will be slightly older than animals in the wild.
Okay, thank you. Now, we did answer this through the Q&A panel, but I wanted to ask, I don't know whether Andrew or Kevin wants to answer this, but when is the best time of year to visit the reserve to see the big five and more?
So, Stephen, like I said earlier, any time of the year, our guides have a very, very close, intimate knowledge of the reserve and the animals. We do a lot of training and development with our guides so that they really understand the product well. So that during game drive times, we're in contact with one another. It is only Shamwari Game Reserve on the reserve. There's no other private vehicles or anything like that. So we know the animals, we know where they are, we know their movements, we know their patterns. So any time of the year, we really do see top-notch sightings. It then just comes down to your preference and time of the year, winter, summer. You know, our location in South Africa, where we are, we get both a summer and a winter rainfall, which leads to a rich diversity. In other parts of the country, you might only get a summer rainfall or a winter rainfall. Again, that brings with it its own benefits and challenges. So yeah, any time of the year, we provide some really amazing big five sightings.
Stephen, if I can just jump in there super quickly as well on that. We are going to, as you know, when you send out the follow-up to everybody that joined us today, there will be a sample itinerary, and that itinerary does have multiple times during the year when you can experience it. It comes with incredible value, and it features Shamwari. So it is, you know, South Africa or Southern Africa, Africa in general, can be a little complicated. There's a plethora of choices. So as you know, we work with you guys and with Vision and Direct, and we're going to help everybody. We take a lot of that guesswork out, and we provide just the very, very best option, and Shamwari will be part of that itinerary. So everybody will get that shortly afterwards, and they'll see this variety of departure dates when you can do it at amazing value.
Excellent. Yes, thank you. I have another question here from Evan, who is 7 years old, and he wants to know, why were the elephants on the hill? Thank you, Evan.
All right. Yeah, cool question. And, you know, a lot of the time, if you look at animals, nothing is for nothing. An animal doesn't do anything because it has, it wants to, or it doesn't have anything else better to do with its time. Living in the African bush is very challenging. It's very harsh. Animals have to work hard for their food. They have to work hard to survive. And where animals go, it's generally because of food, it's because of water, and it's to find family members or a mate. And that's why the elephants were there. We've got elephants are like barometers on this game reserve, and barometers, like you'd know, measure atmospheric pressure. We've got an incredibly large cold front that is approaching South Africa.
It looks like we might have lost Andrew for a moment. Andrew, you still with us? Yeah, I think we lost Andrew, but yes, as he was saying, it is incredible how they can tell. The elephants would be much better weatherman than any of the ones that we have on our news and on TV, right? It's like, I always say, I want to be a weatherman. They never have to say why they're wrong, and the elephants are always right. So it's very, very cool. If you want to jump to the next question, Stephen, we'll see if we get Andrew back, or perhaps one of the others or one of us can answer.
Yes, absolutely. So one of the questions is, are there any problems with poaching of rhino in Shamwari?
Well, poaching, I don't know, is Raymond, do you want to address that, since you're, it looks like you might still be with us, or I can certainly take that. I'll take it anyway, so, because I'm not, oh, Raymond's coming. So Raymond, do you want, are you with us, Raymond?
Hi, Kevin. Hi, Kevin, can you copy me?
Yes, I do.
Yes, if I heard the question correctly, do we struggle with poaching at Shamwari? That is a very big negative for now. We have such a high, sophisticated anti-poaching team. I mean, they are available 24/7 a day, of course, and night. And whether it's by air or on foot or night vision, we are very fortunate to have the ability to have the best resources available to prevent poaching at Shamwari. So touch wood, successfully, for the last year, no rhinos have been poached at Shamwari, which is fantastic. And also, I believe where we are situated, we're far away from, let's say, Mozambique borders, Zimbabwean borders, where a lot of the poachers come from. Unfortunately, they live through a lot of poverty, and they tend to go towards poaching in order to get some income. So it's a long way for them to get to us. And in all, we are very safe here at the moment, and we're very fortunate and blessed that there has been no poaching. As I say, again, touch wood, you never know when they are coming though.
And if I could just add to that, I just want to really reinforce.
Stefan, I don't know if you can. Sorry, Stefan, Kevin, I wonder if you guys can hear me again. For some reason, I got lost my connection, so I am back. Sorry, I'm back online.
That's okay. That's cool, Andrew. We did hear you, and Raymond was answering, and I'm just going to follow up a little bit what Raymond said, because we were talking about poaching in Shamwari and how you guys are just so amazing with keeping this under control and so on. But the other thing I do want to mention about Shamwari is they are probably the #1 private reserve and in all of Africa, certainly in Southern Africa, for rhino conservation. They have amazing, incredible rhino projects. And actually that is part of that itinerary that we're going to send out. Anybody that books that itinerary, if you know, every time if a couple books it or whatever, $100 per couple will be donated by African Travel and Vision and Direct to Shamwari for the conservation of the rhino program. That is one of the features that's included in that specific itinerary that I was talking about earlier, because they have been amazing. And we are just so enthralled, and we applaud Shamwari so much for the work they're doing with these creatures which are critically endangered. And you know, we actually at African Travel sent a team out to Shamwari a couple of years ago to work with them and build a rhino boma for the orphans that they work with. Their rhino program is second to none. It's absolutely spectacular, and it's something that's very close to my heart. So that's just a little bit more that sometimes Shamwari won't toot their own horn about, but they absolutely should, because they are fantastic with rhino. They're truly amazing.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kevin. I appreciate that. And there are some very, very dedicated people working very, very hard to ensure that we protect our animals. It is unfortunate, but South Africa is losing on average almost 3 rhinos per day. If we work that out through our latest statistics, it is very worrying figures. But obviously through education and obviously through resources and projects such as what you guys assist with, we can ensure that we protect and conserve a vanishing way of life as best as possible. Yeah, luckily we got some good guys on the ground, but we won't give away all of our secrets how they keep us protected.
Andrew, we have a question here. Do you have meerkats in Shamwari?
Yes, indeed we do. And a meerkat is essentially a species of mongoose. We have a number of different species of mongoose on the reserve. Our most common one that we see multiple times per day is a yellow mongoose. In Afrikaans, it's called a rooi meerkat. Meerkat is the Afrikaans name. Yes, so we do have meerkat, or suricate is their other name. We do see them from time to time, as well as other species like water mongoose, small grey mongoose, a large grey mongoose. Yeah, so we do have a number of different species of mongoose on the reserve.
Excellent, thank you. We have a question here. Has the entry ban for visitors changed from February 2021?
I beg your pardon, if you can just repeat that question.
Has the entry ban for visitors changed from February 2021? I'm wondering if that's a typo from February 2020, but...
No, I think what they're talking about, Stephen, is there was discussion that South Africa was not going to open until February 2021. Okay. So they are, that date is correct. It is an ongoing discussion. There are very high level meetings about it, and everybody is at the president and so on. We actually have inside track on some of this. Because we have a presence in South Africa, a very large presence, and one of our employees actually is on the council with the president. So it's an ongoing discussion. The lodges and everybody, of course, are desperately anxious to get open. There has been some request to see if they can make this happen in September or at some time in between. So it's an ongoing discussion. And the second that we, whether it be Shamwari and ourselves, we, believe me, you know, the minute we know that what the answer and the final answer is, things are moving, we will let everybody know. And yeah, absolutely. So we're sitting on tenterhooks waiting to see what's going to happen.
Indeed, Kevin. And we've also structured our business to meet whatever rigorous demands this new COVID life puts on us. We've had to work around and develop our business to meet those requirements. So have no doubt that Shamwari is moving full steam ahead to make sure that we're staying up to date with our industry requirements and industry standards to make sure that everything is safe and in good hands.
Well, and as well, the good news, as you shared with us previously, is there is never a bad time for a safari. So whenever any restrictions are lifted, will be a good time to enjoy this. So that's nice that it's not seasonal in nature. And what it is that we're seeing right now, live, obviously they've been busy.
Yes, Jason looks like he has something happening there.
Actually, they didn't make this kill. I presume it was a leopard, and I just came across it following them, and they've been smelling, and now they've just come across it there, and it's been half eaten. And I cannot see any form of other predator in the area. If the male lion had made this kill, he certainly would not have just left it and let them come in. So I think it was a leopard that was on this kill, probably heard the jackals going crazy, had a look on the hill and saw the lions approaching and just decided to hightail it. And now they are devouring it. But they were probably smelling around for minutes. Just one even walked right past it, didn't notice. So, definitely a pretty cool scene. You know, it's not the kill that Andrew promised you, but hey, it's a half a kill. It's better than nothing.
Awesome stuff, Jason. That's cool.
Yeah,
remarkable.
You guys always continue to produce. It's just amazing. I'm in such awe of you.
You can actually hear them growling. Don't know if my mic's picking that up.
We have a question here about the lodges. How many game lodges do you have, and how are they different from each other?
So we've got 7 different lodges on the reserve, and each one is completely different and unique to the next one. I've been on Shamwari for a little over 15 years now, and I really have seen this place stay the same in some aspects and change greatly in others. If you look at one of our lodges, for example, that Jan showed you earlier, is a very new, unbelievably luxurious tented camp or tented lodge called Sindile. Absolutely luxurious, and it's tented. But by no means are you living in anything that looks like a standard camping tent, all the way through to something like Longley, which is a fully rebuilt and reworked and revamped Victorian era farm style house. It's absolutely luxurious and completely opposite ends of the spectrum. So what we do find is 2 things. That number one, people can go onto our website and have a look at something that really meets their demand and their taste, as well as return clients who really move between lodges so that they can experience everything that Shamwari has to offer. And very often what we find is our return clients fall in love with a specific lodge, and for year after year after year they come back to the same lodge because they just really, they found what meets their demands. And whether it be the guide and the lodge, or the lodge and then the guide moves around with them, we really are able to meet so many different tastes. And that's an amazing thing about Shamwari. Something for everybody. All the way from a family lodge that has the most unbelievable family kiddies program, all the way up to an exclusive family villa, all the way up to you know, something much more intimate and personalized, like an Eagles Crag or Sindile.
Excellent, thank you very much. We have another question here. Well, we've had a number of questions about the pricing of safaris, and what I would say, because they will all differ, is reach out to your travel advisor and let them know the kind of safari, the length you'd be looking at, and they will work with you and get that pricing for you, as opposed to just giving a generic price here. So I just wanted to share that. Now, another question is, how fast can cheetahs go?
I'm going to have to say that in kilometers per hour, my miles conversion might be a little bit rusty, but they have been clocked and recorded at speeds of about 120 kilometers per hour. But that really is maxed out speed. I think that is just under 60 miles per hour, just over 60 miles per hour, if I'm not mistaken, about 65 miles per hour.
Yeah,
it's actually like
yeah.
All right, good. They can't sustain that top speed for very long. Slightly lower speed for about 300 to 600 meters is the average speed, and generally that was a once-off recorded speed under ideal conditions. You know, to go running through the bush at 120 k's an hour when there's aardvark holes or branches, that type of stuff. Cheetahs really need to be careful, and it's only under optimal conditions that they'll do that.
And the great news, Andrew, is you have a lot of people on from Canada today, including Stephen himself. So your metrics are perfectly fine.
Yeah,
fantastic.
That is true.
Luckily you didn't ask me about weight.
So we have a few people who said they can't see video right now. What I would suggest is you probably go away from speaker view and go to gallery view, and you'll be able to see the video, because I'm speaking, but I'm not on video. If you're on speaker view, you'll see me when I'm speaking and not the video. So, and as I mentioned earlier, if you can hide the non-video presenters by clicking on the 3 dots, you'll be able to see it, because what we're seeing right now is really quite remarkable. I think that's Jason's camera we've got, and we've got Andrew joining us.
Yeah, the lions are still on the kill, or on their dinner.
Oh yeah, no,
so
they're definitely going at it right now.
They sure are. There's a question here about, do you have tigers and monkeys on the reserve?
So we definitely have primate species. We've got 2 primate species, notably the Chakma baboon, which is a very big baboon species. And they are quite common. We see them quite nicely. And even more common than them, which you will definitely see multiple times per day, is something called a vervet monkey. A small little gray monkey, and they are quite prolific on the reserve, very common, so we see them a lot. Tigers, not so much. That is not an African species. That's more Asia that you'll see tigers. So only lions and leopards and cheetah are our big African cats.
Excellent,
And
thank you.
We have all 3 of those cats on the reserve. We have fantastic sightings of leopards, lions, and cheetah regularly on the reserve. Amazing.
And we see that the feeding is still a frenzy right now. So I think I'm gonna direct this to Kevin. How long should you plan for a trip? Not just for the safari, but perhaps for the pre and post. What is your recommendation?
Absolutely, and that's a great question. And you know, the great thing about doing it through you guys and with us at African Travel is because we actually customize everything. So we can make it as long as short as you want to do. The standard, the kind of average trip to South Africa would be probably somewhere around about 10 to 12 days. You certainly want 3 or 4 days in Cape Town. It's a stunning city, lots to see, a very outdoor city, a really cool place. If you're familiar with Sydney, Australia, but never been to South Africa, kind of similar, that very outdoors quality of life, just incredible, beautiful views over the ocean. And then we want to do 3 or 4 nights on safari. Plus, of course, you've got traveling time. And then the #1 add-on for anybody going to South Africa is usually a couple of days add-on to Victoria Falls, which is up on the Zambia-Zimbabwe border. So if you're going to do that, then you're probably going to extend it out to somewhere between the 12 and 14 day. But if you want to do 3 weeks, there are amazing lodges at Shamwari. There's a whole selection of them, and they're all different, which is really cool. So you could go do 2 nights here and 3 nights there, and Andrew and Theo and the team would be happy to see you for a week or 10 days or 2 weeks just at Shamwari. But certainly the average trip would be 10 to 12 days from the United States or Canada.
So Kevin, just something that has become very popular is we have guests that come and stay at one of our luxury lodges for 2 or 3 nights. And then they book onto that and add another 2 nights at our Explorer camp, which is a much more basic, but still very, very awesome, predominantly walking safari-based experience. And that really gives you a well-rounded, balanced, all-encompassing safari, from vehicles to on foot. You really will see the most amazing and experience the most amazing parts of nature. And we found that is becoming very, very popular.
I agree, and I'm a great proponent of that as well, particularly even if you want to do something like a couple of nights, 2 nights in a lodge, 2 or 3 nights in a lodge, and then 2 or 3 nights in a tented camp, because people are sometimes a little nervous about tented camps, but they are so amazing. It's such luxury. It's so cool. So, you know, it's really great to sometimes just experience 2 different lodges or 2 different forms of accommodation, and, you know, and just extend the safari portion that way.
That's it. That's it.
Absolutely. So there's also a note here that there are also some great family options. This is such a great family experience. I know I'm going to be planning a safari with my family. I've got 10 and 12-year-old boys, so I think it's just what a phenomenal experience for them to learn and see this great, fascinating
Indeed,
part
Stephen.
of our world.
And you have to see the kiddies program on offer at Riverdene. It is unbelievable. There's so much to do. There's a kiddies entertainment center, everything from young kids, babysitting facilities, all the way up to teenagers. And we just take the most unbelievable care of them. And like I said, I've been here for 15 years, and there are youngsters, when I say youngsters, they are young adults now coming back, that we guided them when they were 10 years old, 12 years old. And they said it was those key moments in life that developed such a keen passion for conservation, and that stirred that unbelievable thirst for knowledge about nature. And we're really proud of that. I've got 2 young girls, and they just have the most amazing time growing up in the bush, you know, in this environment.
And I think it's something worth mentioning at this point too, that's where somebody like Vision and Direct Travel really becomes so important for the clients out there that are listening and are thinking of doing this, because, you know, there are choices to be made. There are different lodges that are better for, you know, a certain age group, or for kids, or families of different dynamics, and so on. And that is something that when we work hand in hand and in partnership with Vision and Direct, we can absolutely make sure that we're getting the very best possible experience to you. Rather than you trying to flounder around and making a mistake, we're really going to listen to you. You know, at African Travel, we truly believe in the value of the travel advisor. We don't sell directly to the public. So we are all about the advisor, because they bring so much to the table. And it's in situations like this, when you're traveling with a family, every trip is important. You want the best out of a trip. But certainly when you start drilling it down and looking at a family, and you want to make the absolute best possible decisions, that's where your travel advisor really comes in, because they know the questions to ask. They know a lot of the inside information. We certainly have the inside track. You know, we can do things like this with Shamwari that you never would have been able to do. So that really brings the value to Vision and Direct Travel, without question.
Thank you, Kevin. Obviously, I agree. And we do have lots of our attendees and clients on today that are telling us how they're going to be reaching out to their advisor to start the discussion. And really, that's where it really all starts, is just having that discussion. So we've got a question about both ends of the spectrum. One is, what is the minimum age for doing game drives? And the other is, would this trip be okay for less mobile seniors?
So to answer that, we generally, from 4 years and up, take youngsters out on game drive with families, and obviously that's out of the kiddies lodge at Riverdene. As well as we definitely have facilities within the lodges and the ability to take less mobile people out. Obviously there's some restrictions with you know, where we would go, and obviously walking and that type of stuff. But when it comes to vehicle based safaris and that, that's not an issue at all. Not an issue at all. And indeed, we have seen and done some amazing stuff with some people that really have not had the opportunity in other places. We've been able to make it happen.
Excellent. Okay, we are winding down here. We have a couple questions about how far apart are the lodges on the reserve?
So in the southern section of the reserve where I'm sitting now in Shamwari, you could equate it almost to an hourglass. The south of the reserve, where I am right now, I'm actually within about a kilometer distance of Longley. I can see Longley now. And then about, what is that? About a mile and a half is Riverdene Lodge. And then another mile is about, you're going to get to Sakhili, and then not too far from that is Sindile. So there's a bit of a close proximity in the southern part of the reserve, but then we go for a very, very long distance, many, many kilometers all the way to the center of the reserve where there's an isolated Eagles Crag Lodge. And then again, far from where I am, about 40 kilometers all the way to the north, where you'll get Lobangula, and then even further off to the northeast from that is Bayeti. So some of the lodges are quite close to one another, and then some further apart. Again, the question of why that would be important in terms of how we could make that work, or you know, we would be able to answer those questions once we knew the dynamics around that.
Okay, thank you. And we've got lots of kids watching today. We've got another 7-year-old, Sloan. Thank you, Sloan, for the question. Sloan is wondering how long the lions will eat for.
Sloan, to answer that is it very much depends on how long the meat is around for. And like Jason said, there was only half a warthog there. That's going to be in the region of probably about 20 pounds, 25 pounds of meat. Between 10 hungry lions, that's going to go very, very quickly. Unfortunately, we've almost lost complete light now. But yeah, I don't think there'll be much left over there. And indeed, those animals would have moved off and probably hunting some more. So,
yeah,
you know,
Andrew, they're just about done now. Yeah, that half impala, there was maybe, as you said, 20 kilograms left on it, and they are literally just chewing through the bones now. It's done. So they're going to be leaving it very, very soon. I've tried to turn my lights on. I hope that comes out nice. But yeah, just about done.
And yes, Jason, we see very well.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's really remarkable. Okay, so you know, I think your light's going, and I just want to say thank you again so much for taking the time and sharing this wonderful experience, sharing your world with us. It is a difficult time right now, but we are all looking forward to when we can all travel again. We can come and see you and see the beautiful animals at Shamwari. So I want to thank all of our clients for joining us today, taking the time out of your busy lives to take part in this. And we look forward to working with you to plan a safari to Shamwari.
We look forward to seeing everyone, and all the best, guys. It was absolute awesome afternoon and evening. Stephen, Kevin, we'll see you guys soon. All the best.
You bet, absolutely. Andrew, thank you guys again. Your team is magnificent. Stephen, thank you for giving us the opportunity to showcase Shamwari to your clients. I hope everybody really enjoyed it. I saw some wonderful comments, and I think we touched a lot of people today. So that's great. And hopefully we inspired them. We look forward to seeing everybody in Africa.
Yes, and thank you, Kevin, and everybody at African Travel. Such great partners in helping us put this together. And for everybody still on the call, we will share our next Dream Away Travel Enrichment Series event very soon, and look forward to seeing you on that. So please stay safe. Don't forget to wash your hands, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Keep well, everyone. Cheers, Kevin. Cheers,
Bye, everybody. Keep well.
Bye, Jason. Bye, Jan. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks, Raymond. Thanks, Jan.
Thanks, guys. All the best. Thank you. Bye.